Hello everybody, my name is Tony Castro and I will be talking about housing first with no strings attached policy. What is it? How much does it cost? And what are the benefits of housing first with no strings attached policy? First of all, what is it? It is a permanent housing solution for unhoused people who need help with permanent housing. Specifically, we're talking about people experiencing homelessness. Housing First with no strings attached policy was founded, pioneered, created in Utah, in the United States of America in 2005. It was implemented in Utah and was working successfully up until about 2015, when Utah abandoned the no strings attached policy. What is that no strings attached policy mean? What that means is, now housing first, you house people first, no strings attached. They don't have to look for a job. They don't have to get sober if they have substance abuse issues. They don't have to address their mental health issues. It's just housing first with no strings attached. So you are housed first, and then we address any concerns afterwards. But since there's no strings attached, you don't have to get a job, you don't have to stop using drugs, and you don't have to, there's no rules, really. I mean, there's rules, but there's no strings attached. So housing first with no strings attached policy was adopted by Finland, the country, in 2008. And they were able to successfully fund it and use it. So how it worked in Finland in 2008 till today is they kept the no strings attached policy. Their federal government steps in along with other foundations who brought some money, but mainly the federal government steps in and pays for people who are experiencing homelessness, pays their rent. The federal government will pay your rent in an apartment. So this is how it worked in Finland, and still working today. They have virtually zero homeless people. I would like to say they have zero homeless people, but virtually zero, because if somebody becomes homeless, they're temporary homeless until they go through the policy, through the program. And so the way it works right now in Finland, also in 2012, Houston, Texas adopted Housing First with no strings attached. Here's the best example of what Housing First with no strings attached is. You're experiencing homelessness. You don't have to be homeless to qualify. You just need help with housing. So whether you're experiencing homelessness or you're just trying to get out of your parents' house or something, you can get help from the federal government. And this is how it works. We take temporary shelters, because shelters are only temporary. With Housing First, no strings attached, this is permanent housing. So it's different than shelters. Shelters those are just temporary. So we take those shelters and we convert them into apartment buildings. We build these apartment buildings in downtown areas like downtown LA or downtown Santa Ana, where there's already a big problem with people experiencing homelessness. So what we do is, in these downtown areas, build apartment buildings and convert shelters into permanent housing. And nobody will notice, because there's already homeless people in the streets in these downtown areas. All they're gonna notice is that there's all of a sudden no more homeless people in the streets. Where are they? They're housed. They're no longer homeless people. Once we house them, they get social workers. social workers will then help them find employment. And as shown in Finland and in Utah and in Houston, Texas, once someone is housed first, they're much more successful in finding employment because it's easier to find a job when you're housed. You can sleep, you can take a shower, and you can change your clothes and have breakfast all under the same roof. When people are homeless, they have to sleep in an RV, take a shower at a shelter or at a gym, 24-hour fitness or something, go to their storage to go get their clean clothes or something. They have to go to 3 or 4 different cities just to get ready for work. There's a lot more obstacles. So when you house people first, they're much more successful in finding employment. We have social workers that come in and help you with substance abuse issues. We got social workers that will come in and help you with mental health conditions. Housing first with no strings attached policy is working in Finland since 2008, is working in Houston, Texas, and worked in Utah until they abandoned the no strings attached policy in 2015. We need to end homelessness now with housing first with no strings attached policy. All right, now I want to talk about how much is this going to cost? Man, that sounds expensive. House everybody permanently in apartments, people who need it. How much is that going to cost? Easy. The model in Utah, the model in Finland, and the model in Houston, Texas has shown us how much it costs. So here's the numbers. To enforce, invoke, implement, and or to use housing first with no strings attached policy, this is how much it costs taxpayers. $16,000 per homeless person each year less. It costs taxpayers less money to permanently house people experiencing homelessness. So how much does it cost? It costs $16,000 less per homeless person each year than our current system and way of managing and or controlling homelessness. There's almost 1 million homeless people, around 800,000 documented homeless people, plus the undocumented ones. 1 million homeless people in the United States, times $16,000 less per person each year. How much will it cost to house unhoused people permanently? It will cost taxpayers in the United States of America $16 billion less each year than what it currently costs to manage and control homelessness in the United States. So there's our solution. There's no excuse. The evidence speaks for itself. The money is there. Our leaders cannot lie and say we can't afford it because it costs $16 billion a year less in the United States nationwide to implement housing first with no strings attached policy compared to our current way of managing and controlling homelessness. I'm Tony Castro, and this is a lesson in housing first with no strings attached policy. Thank you for your time.